This and every episode of the podcast is supported by 35 Bikes. 35 Bikes are dedicated to bringing you the best bike components for the best price. So whether you need organic, semi-metal or sintered brake pads, a new narrow-wide chainring, mudguards or brake rotors, make sure to ask for 35 Bikes in your local bike shop, or head to 35bikes.com for more information or to find your local stockist. You're listening to the Hookit podcast, proudly brought to you by hookitproducts.co.uk.
Riders ready? Watch the gate.
Oh, yeah!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Hookit podcast. This is episode number 20 with Ed Brazier from Airdrop Bikes. So thank you very much everyone for checking in and coming to have a listen. If you do follow us on Instagram, you will have seen the story I posted during the week of the popularity of the podcast on Instagram, especially the Hannah Barnes episode that went down an absolute storm. So thank you everybody who listened and for sharing it around and telling your friends. It's awesome. In Hookit news, I guess we've got a new brand launching pretty soon, which is exciting. Hopefully those guys are going to be involved in the podcast too. There might be some giveaways, maybe a little special feature on each episode too. So keep posted for that. And obviously this is the 20th anniversary episode, so it only felt right to do something Sheffield based again. You know, we started off with a Sheffield brand with Hookit for episode 1. Those guys again joined us for episode 10 with Sai, Rocketman and Straightline, aka Swinny and Shay. So 20th anniversary episode, only felt right to do something with Ed from Airdrop Bikes, and I've wanted to have this guy on the podcast for ages, but he's been super busy. But yeah, we finally managed to get something sorted and sit down and have a chat this evening. Again, with it being episode 20, it kind of left me thinking a little bit about the podcast this week and how much it's actually grown. You know, even from starting right back on episode 1 with Cy Turner, going through, you know, we've had Danny Hart, world mountain bike champion, we've had Ty Woofenden, the world speedway champion, we've had Brooke MacDonald, some of the media guys, Joe Bowman, Duncan Philpott, obviously Lucas Shaw. So it's incredible to see how much it's grown, and I want to say a massive thank you again to everyone who has helped the podcast grow. If you have reached out, left us a like on a post or left us a Facebook message or anything, like, thank you so much. It's because of you guys that the thing's been growing. So thank you. It's really, really appreciated. If you do have any questions, concerns or any guest ideas, or you can link us up with anyone, feel free to drop that in an email. It's podcast@hookitproducts.co.uk. And that should be about everything. Give yourselves a pat on the back. You guys have helped build a podcast. It's obviously, we were the first mountain bike podcast. Let's not forget that. So let's move on to the show. Welcome, Ed Brazier. All right, Ed. Yep, magic button was found. We are recording.
Cool.
Welcome
no going
to.
Back now.
No going back, dude. The button's been pressed. It's almost like Trump hovering over that nuke button or something.
I was thinking how long it would take for Trump to come into this.
Let me just check. 21 seconds.
Moving on.
Not a good start. So anyway, welcome to the Hookit podcast. Thanks a bunch, man. Episode 20 as well, which I already put in the introduction that it felt only fitting to do another Sheffield anniversary one. So yeah, thank you very much, man. Welcome.
Cool. Yeah, it's good to be on. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, dude. I've wanted to do this for ages. It's yeah, obviously schedules and stuff are pretty tough sometimes, but yeah, thank you. Usually to kick off, I know you listen to some of these, which is, again, much appreciated. So I like to let the guests do their own like little brief introduction. So if you could just sort of do a quick who you are and what you do, that'd be amazing.
Sure thing. My name's Ed Brazier. I'm 36 years old. I'm the owner and operator of Airdrop Bikes, independent mountain bike brand based here in Sheffield. Mm-hmm. Just going into its second year of trading, but it's taken quite a long time to get this far. So I guess we'll probably go into a bit more detail about that.
Yeah, man, for sure. But it's been I don't know, has it gone really fast for you? Because it feels like just the other day that we got an email off you saying you were starting this bike brand and that etc., you wanted to do some of our stuff. So for me, it's flown.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, really. It kind of depends on how you look at it, in a way. Yeah, because if you're thinking back to all of the millions of things that you had to do in the last couple of years to get this far, then it seems like an eternity. But actually, to think, I actually quit my day job almost 3 years ago, and thinking about it in that sense, it's gone really, really quickly.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that anyway. But before we get into sort of like the day job quitting and stuff, I'm keen to know what you were doing before and like your previous careers or career. How did you end up getting into the mountain biking stuff? Were you working in the industry before or not?
Well, yes and no, really. I came to Sheffield in, I think, 2002, straight after university, because really I didn't want to go back home. I'd left home essentially by that time.
And where was home? Sorry.
So home's in Worcestershire. It's a little village called Clent.
Okay.
Which is it's actually quite a cool place for mountain biking, really. But for a kind of 20-year-old aspiring designer, there's not a lot going on there, really. And in any case, that's where I grew up. So I wanted to, to go elsewhere.
Flee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And at that time, so I'd been into mountain biking for quite a long time already by then, but really I was more into climbing.
Right.
So, and particularly climbing on the grit. So,
yeah, is that what pulled you over then to Sheffield, really?
Yeah, I used to come over here with the climbing club from university, and that was really all I knew about Sheffield was gritstone climbing and quite a big design scene going on here. So, there was Designers Republic and all that sort of thing was happening in Sheffield.
And when you say like designing, what sort of designing do you mean? You'll have to excuse me. I'm almost an alien to design. So
yeah, well, I am now. It was really I had this idea that I wanted to be a designer in the outdoor industry, and specifically wanted to be a graphic designer. It was graphic design that I was I was really interested in, and that's not the sort of thing that you can do living out in the countryside. So I had this the challenge really was to find a place I could live where I could have an outdoorsy kind of lifestyle, but I could actually get work as a designer.
Right.
And as you know, Sheffield is perfect for that sort of thing. It is.
The outdoor city, apparently, too.
Well, the outdoor city TM. We have to say that now, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Right,
that's the Sheffield Outdoor City plug already in.
Hashtag. I know, but it's been that way for a long time, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that they've done that's pretty cool. It only seems to be growing as well, which is rad. In fact, I tagged them on Instagram just the other day and looked how many other posts had been done with that Sheffield, the Outdoor City Instagram tag. And there's like 106,000 or something. I was like, bloody hell, that's crazy. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they've got the bots on the go, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they do. So you're a designer, moved to Sheffield, and did you start working then within like the outdoor climbing industry as well, or?
Yeah, so I wasn't a designer. I'd just come out of university, and so when you come out of university, really you don't know anything, do you? Let's face it.
I don't know. I never went. I'll be honest.
Okay, well, I'm telling you now, you don't know a lot. Well, you don't know a lot about work anyway. So
right, okay.
You have to get a job though, don't you? Suddenly, you're in the real world. You're not in this kind of sheltered version of the real world. You're in the real world, and you need to get a job. And I didn't really want to get a job. I wanted to be climbing and riding my bike. But if I had to get a job, then surely I could get one doing something enjoyable. So the idea was outdoor industry. So I came and I just kind of knocked on a few doors, and I ended up getting a job selling boots at CCC.
Right. Okay.
Which, if you grew up in Sheffield, you'd know about CCC. It's an outdoor store. It's been around since before time was time.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like, it turns out if you're an outdoorsy type, that's what happens. You come to Sheffield, you go and work at CCC.
I remember going there as a kid with my dad. I don't even know why we used to go. I think he just used to drag me around shops for the sake of it sometimes.
It's mandatory. You had to go and look at trade tents and stuff when you were a kid.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Let's just go look at tents. You're like, all right. I'm 9, I'll not argue. Let's crack on. Okay, so working at CCC, and where did that lead you from there?
Well, I mean, basically, I said to them at the first interview, I want to be a designer, and they went, yeah, okay, that's great, but the job we've got is selling boots in Hathersage at this little shop that we've got. So we'll take that on board, but, go and sell some boots. So, can you start tomorrow? And because I was fresh out of university, I had to say, well, I can't start tomorrow because I'm going to Amsterdam, actually. Can I start? Can I start next week? The following week I sort of scraped myself off the pavement, went into work.
Blurry-eyed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And somehow, made it stick. Did not get fired.
Awesome.
Which was awesome, yeah.
Excellent.
And
you finding plenty of time as well, like to climb and stuff? Or was
not really. I mean, I just had to work really, really hard at first, and I was, I'll be honest with you, I was miserable doing that.
Right.
But I think it's just like that when you move to a new place. I didn't really know that many people here. I didn't know what was what.
Right.
Okay. And I'd gone from being a student to being someone who was, just doing a full-time job, which was not particularly exciting.
Proper reality check, eh? Welcome to the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I kind of like got my foot in the door, if you like, of a way of life that I ended up following for quite some time. So I stuck to it, and it turned out that company CCC had really big plans, and ultimately that's what became Go Outdoors, which is this really big thing now.
Yep.
So I sort of inadvertently was in the right place at the right time, and I just kept saying to him, I want to be a designer. I want to be a designer. So when they set up their web department, e-commerce was just about to kick off in 2002.
Yeah, I was going to say around 2002. Yeah, pretty much the start of all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they just said it wasn't graphic design, but they said, "Do you know HTML?" So I just lied and I said, "Yeah." And I basically had a weekend to learn HTML.
Right. Pre-YouTube video, so
very much pre. Yeah, but it was, really thinking back, it was pretty straightforward.
Right. Okay.
So that got me out of the shop, which didn't particularly suit me. I was quite sort of shy, and I didn't like the exposure of working in the shop the whole time.
Okay.
It got me back behind a computer where I felt a bit more comfortable, really.
Yeah. Okay. So were you there up until basically starting Airdrop then?
Almost, yeah. I mean, I'll shortcut that. I ended up doing web design and then ended up being head of the web department there, which sounds pretty grand, but it wasn't. It's quite a small concern. Still banging on about being a graphic designer. And at that time, they had some agency that was just taking the piss. So eventually I convinced them to bring it in-house and give the job to me. And then again, somehow didn't stuff it up. So that, made that stick.
It must have been cool as well, sort of been part of watching Go Outdoors grow. Because the whole time you were there, they pretty much went from having a couple of stores to probably having whatever they have now. I can't even remember. I think it's 56. It's probably more, actually.
I've kind of lost track of what it is now, but
yeah,
in the time I was there, it went from 2 to 50 in 10 years, which is pretty incredible. And it wasn't so much being part of it. We were all part of this big project to get this company going.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk about Tim's just not like wheels and it's very large retail businesses. I didn't know you were there the whole time.
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome thing, and that's really what kept me there for such a long time, because the people that owned the company had this really strong vision for what they wanted it to be, really charismatic, really clever types. And I was really into the idea that we were going somewhere. We had this big plan. It was a bit of an adventure,
right?
Actually, and I didn't. I was really straight with them. I didn't particularly enjoy working for somebody else, and I did say, my kind of long-term ambition is to have my own company. And they went, okay, well that's fine, but what we'll do is we'll teach you as much as we can about how to run a company,
right?
And and hopefully you'll learn a whole bunch, and you'll do a good job here, and then maybe one day you'll feel like you can go off and do something for yourself.
Yeah.
So actually, they were really generous with the kind of knowledge and teach me what was what.
Cool. Big shout out to CCC / Go Outdoors. So
yeah, I've got to hand it to them. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. They seem like a really nice company to work with. I mean, we do little bits with them here, there, but they do seem all pretty good, to be honest. I mean, I don't personally deal with them. It'll be it's Ollie in our office, who you obviously know as well. So, but I guess that leads on to the fun stuff. So Airdrop. Let's just. I mean, you'll obviously know and tell the story way better than me. But where did the idea stem from, and where did you kind of get the inspiration to make the jump from working at quite a big company to setting up on your own?
Well, there was an interlude. Basically, I went to work for Planet X and On One for a couple of years.
Okay.
So I'd been at Go for 10 years. That was awesome, but I sort of plateaued. We were just opening stores every month.
Yeah.
It was getting a bit samey. And I'd gone as far as I was going to go within the organisation. Mm-hmm. So the opportunity came to go and work at Planet X. And at that time, I'm just trying to think, it was 2012, either 2012 or 2013. The guy that owns that company basically had said he'd had enough, he wanted to sell it. So a new management team was being brought in. The idea was sort it all out, buy the company, and away you go. Then you've got this bike company, and I was the idea was that I would be part of that management buyout, and I'd be able to actually have a real say in the strategy and the direction of the company, which I hadn't had at Go Outdoors.
Right.
So it was a bit of a scary prospect, but because I'd been institutionalised, I was working at the same place for 10 years.
Yeah.
But it was the bike industry, finally, the bike industry. So I went there to be head of marketing, basically, for Planet X and On One, which was kind of jumping in at the deep end because it was moving industry, and a fairly big step up for me as well. And also, as it turned out, going from what was a pretty benign atmosphere, quite a cool culture working at Go,
right.
to
yeah.
Planet X, which was, not
different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, I'll spare you the gory details, but a couple of years of that, super steep learning curve. But basically, I had enough. The management buyout thing didn't pan out.
Right.
So the plan had fallen over, and I didn't particularly want to just continue working there. And things came to a head on a sunny summer's day. I was looking out of the window. From the offices, it's based in Rotherham, you can see all the way across Sheffield to the Peak District.
Oh, right, okay. I've never actually been, so, okay.
Yeah, don't bother.
No, I'm not going
to. But, the sun was shining. It was like, you've got to get out of here, dude. So that's what I did. I got out of there.
Right. Did you get out of there without a plan, really? Or was there something niggling in the back of your brain that you wanted to do this?
Well, I mean, I'd as I say, I had wanted to set up my own company for a long time. And to that end, I'd been saving up money every single month since my very first paycheck in 2002, which probably sounds a bit weird.
No, that's pretty commendable. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that was basically my way of rationalising going to work every day, which I didn't really want to do.
Yeah.
If I save up enough one day, I won't have to do that. I won't have to go and work for somebody else. Mm-hmm. I'll be able to go to work for myself. So 12 years, 144 little down payments. I was in a position where I'd had I got a fair bit of experience. By that time, I think I was 34, so I felt probably confident enough to do something, naive enough to think that I could actually succeed.
Yeah.
And it was I had nothing to lose because I was so unhappy doing the job that I was doing that quitting and having no job would actually be an improvement.
Okay.
So it was a little bit like, well, fuck it, basically, just quit your job.
Yep.
So I did. Next day, felt great about it, got on my bike and went out and did that every day for a month.
Brilliant. Yep.
So I gave myself a bit of time. That's the only break I had in 12 years, really.
Was it? So just a bit of thinking space to kind of sort of gather your thoughts and figure out exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. Which, all along, really, the idea had been set up a design agency because that's kind of the obvious thing to do.
Yeah. And just as a footnote too, by this point, do you have kids and married?
Yeah, so
and a house.
All of the above.
Okay, all of the above. So yeah, pretty big step for most people. That's for sure.
Yeah, fully loaded.
Yeah, full backpack on.
What I actually did was when my wife was pregnant with our first child, I quit my job and bought a knackered house, basically all at the same time.
Okay. So love a challenge then.
Right, we're gonna do this. And so it had been a couple of years of being pretty full on. And actually, by the time I left Planet X, the house was finished and we'd moved in. Right. My daughter was a couple of years old. Mm-hmm. So kind of had things, under control by that time.
Yeah.
It was in a good place, really, with all the family stuff.
It sounds it. So the month off then that you took just to pretty much ride your bike, gather your thoughts, figure out what you want to do, was Airdrop kind of ticking away in the background in the evenings, just putting plans together, or did you literally take 30 days out just to do nothing?
Well, it was both really, because right. I can't do nothing. That's not even possible.
Yeah.
So
I know that feeling, mate. Don't worry. I know all about that one.
So it's 30 days to give myself a bit of space, basically, to work out what the next move was going to be. Yeah. And riding bikes is great for clearing the mind. It is for me anyway. Yeah. Because you can't and you don't really think in detail about stuff. What you do is you have real clarity in your mind because you're just in the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that actually helps me at any rate to process stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm guessing it's going to be the same for most of our listeners too. Obviously, when they ride, they throw this podcast in their ears too. Obviously. But yeah.
So I kind of I wanted to set up a company. I didn't want it to be a design agency. I'd stepped away from design. I felt like I'd kind of done that. I just wanted it to be somehow about bikes. I wanted to hang on to that, really. I'd moved into the bike industry, which, as you know, is a brilliant industry to work in.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah,
I ended up in the kind of the wrong bit of the bike industry.
Yeah. No, I fully understand what you mean. But yeah, it's a fantastic industry to work in. I love it. I genuinely absolutely love what I do for a living, and it's a very nice feeling. You've probably got it yourself too, and probably haven't had it in the past when you wake up in the morning and you're not dreading going to work. Sunday evenings are almost a highlight for me because it's like, right, Monday morning I get to go out and do what I enjoy doing, which is chatting to people about bikes and stuff and business stuff.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're at work.
Yeah,
right,
it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I don't look at it as work at all. It's just what I do. But again, I mean, on a personal level, you know, I don't want to talk about me too much, but I've never actually really had a job which I've hated going to. I sort of had from a very early age, and I guess my dad always sort of told me as well, was if you don't enjoy doing something, just don't do it. So, you know, I definitely have never had one of those jobs where I've got up in the morning and been like, oh, I don't want to go here today. I've pretty much always enjoyed doing what I'm doing. You know, there's been a few things, but on the whole, important life lesson, I think, is to just enjoy what you're doing. You know, you're only here once, so do something worthwhile, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that fully.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah. So, I mean, I wanted to. The first idea basically was to do technical clothing for riding, because I think that, you know, coming from the outdoor industry, the technical clothing, by and large, I think is still miles ahead of the clothing that we have access to for riding.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think. Yeah, I don't know too much about like the climbing or adventure side of things, but you definitely, I think, seeing now better materials and stuff starting to filter through into mountain biking.
That's true, certainly that.
Yeah.
But if you're sort of going back effectively to, you know, 2 or 3 years, so 2014, at that time I felt like there was an opportunity there.
100%,
Did a whole bunch of research on it and put a business plan together. But I thought, actually, what you got to do, this is essentially what you're going to do. You're going to commit your whole life to this, so you better be into it, really. So I thought, actually, I'll try a few different ideas. And the crazy idea, the kind of like, well, let's just have a think about that, was setting up a bike company.
Right.
and I just, the more I worked on it, the more I kind of researched it, the more I felt that it would be ridiculous. Unbelievably different. Well, yeah, ridiculous. Yeah, so hard, but not impossible.
Yeah.
And I kind of became obsessed with the challenge of, you know, could it be done? Because the prize is so big.
Yeah.
You know, so big. What if you pulled it off? You'd have your own bike company. How awesome would that be? You know, and I just became obsessed with that, really. And the other ideas just melted away a little bit. So by the end of the summer, basically I was doing it. I told everyone that was what I was going to do, so I had to do it then.
Yeah, for sure. So, wow. I mean, where do you start with it, though? I mean, what's the initial... Don't want to give away your trade secrets here, but what's the initial process to start a bike brand, you know, as far as sourcing things goes and looking at, obviously, the most important thing, which is geometry and how the thing's going to ride and look?
Yeah, you have to do all that stuff. And I wish I could describe it in a simple, succinct way. But really, the thing that kind of had to be done was just banging on doors, really.
Right.
You know, factories in the main, because I had nothing to do with product or product development in my previous jobs.
Yeah.
I've been pretty close to product as a user of products, but I didn't have any contacts at factories at all.
Right.
So I could do all the design work you like, and I did a lot of sketching bikes, and this is how I want it to look, and this, that, and the other. But really, I had to get to grips with the engineering and the development and the manufacturing, which was the thing that I didn't have within my own skill set, essentially.
So did you outsource any of this stuff to somebody else who could help you, or have you pretty much gone still on your own doing everything?
I've done it all myself,
right?
Really, which I wouldn't necessarily advise other people to do, but it's kind of just in my nature to want to learn how to do something myself, you know, and just try and get good at it as far as I'm able to. And I was a little bit selfish about it, because this was, you know, it was like it was my challenge, you know, and I didn't really want to cheat by getting other people to help me out with it. I wanted to know if I could do it.
Yeah. That's so cool. Man, fair play. Massive pat on the back from me.
I don't know, maybe a little bit foolhardy.
Yeah.
No, lie to you, it's
the most fun stuff, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I just think what I wanted was a genuine challenge. And I don't really know how to say this without sounding a little bit arrogant about it, but none of the jobs I'd ever had were that difficult.
Okay.
You know, maybe they were difficult because I was working for an asshole, or it was difficult because of this, that, and the other. But the nature of the work, I felt wasn't really pushing me that hard.
Yeah.
And so actually, it wasn't all that fulfilling. You know, if you do something, you complete a project, if it's not that hard,
yeah,
how can you derive much satisfaction from it?
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with you on that, mate. Totally. It's, yeah. I'm just trying to think of a way I can explain it, but yeah, I totally agree with you. It's good just to sink your teeth into something and see the results at the end of it, and it's been bloody hard work in the middle. It's rad. So, I don't even. There's so much stuff to talk about. It's crazy. So, you end up with this. I mean, how do you go about it? Do you get like a sample first of a bike?
So, well, basically, what I had was independent of the factory thing. I formulated an idea of what I wanted the bike to be in terms of geometry and kinematics,
right?
Which is an exercise, you know, which essentially is a kind of on paper exercise, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
Numbers.
Yep.
So I formulated
I'm
that.
awful with.
Well, you know, really, it depends how you do it. You know, in my case, it was try out as many bikes as you can.
Right.
So, you know, ride bikes, a lot of bikes. Get as much information as you can about them, and be as analytical as possible about the geometry and the sizing and all of that stuff, and try to educate yourself about what you think is going to work and what isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And
so
really,
did you do that then? Did you do a load of demo days and stuff like that?
Yeah, I just went out and I rode as many different bikes as I possibly could.
That's a great excuse for work, isn't it? Really, let's be honest. I'm going to work, love.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not getting paid for this, but it's work. Honestly.
Research.
Research, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But also at that time, you know, there was the rise of enduro.
Yeah.
TM, and there was this move towards, you know, what we refer to as kind of modern geometries now.
Yeah.
And it was a period of transition. You know, in 2012, I went out to Finale, rode a bunch of trails out there on my bike, which was a cool bike. It was a bit unusual, but basically it was a cross-country derived trail bike.
Yeah.
And all the dudes out there were riding completely different bikes.
Right, okay. So they were already pre-enduro or post-enduro?
Well, okay, 2012, you know, the French would say enduro's been around for 10 years, but it wasn't in the mainstream consciousness, and it wasn't really reflected in the ranges of mainstream bike brands. So, you know, I went out there riding these trails on what I thought was a cool bike, and by the end of that time, I felt like actually, you know, but this bike could be totally different, and if it was, I'd have enjoyed this week loads more.
Right. Okay.
And possibly not come back with a dislocated shoulder.
Okay. So the decision was made to sort of go down that route and aim at that specific. That's what you say. Specific. Like now, it's just kind of normal, but that sort of genre of riding, really, enduro, trail sort of stuff.
Well, there was a practical element to it as well, because I knew that. Well, I didn't really have enough money, basically, to do it anyway.
Right.
But I just thought, I'm not going to let that stop me. I didn't have enough money to do more than one bike. So, if you could only have one bike, what would it be? And that's what I designed.
Perfect. Okay, so you get one made. I guess we're going down the timeline a wee bit here. So you've got one made. You get to ride it. Is that the one which kind of got a lot of the media attention as well, or was that like the second lot or anything like that?
Yeah, the first prototype was okay, but that factory basically sacked me off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, okay.
After however many months, something. I mean, I don't even know now what the reason was, but however many months of working together, you get this email in fairly kind of rudimentary English saying we're not working with you anymore.
Right.
So that was a bit of a kind of dark day.
Okay. These
but
things
it's
happen.
like, well, they do, don't they? And
Definitely.
It's not the only setback I had. And basically, what you do is you just say, well, you're either going to give up or carry on.
Mm.
So you're not going to give up, are you?
No, not at all. No, you're in deep now, mate. It's time to rock and roll, isn't it? Okay, so what I want to ask
when I found another factory, burned up a few more months finding another factory, but actually they turned out to be a million times better. That first factory were not so good.
Right.
So actually,
you've made the whole thing happen really fast. I mean, you're saying you're only into your second year of trading. I mean, apart from, I guess, what would you say, 6 months from the start of the idea all the way to actually having a finished batch of bikes, not just a prototype, but an actual batch?
Well, it took, let me think, it actually took until March 2016 to get frames here to sell.
Okay, right.
And I quit my day job in 2014.
Oh, right.
So,
okay.
and I'd been working on it essentially full time that whole time.
Right.
So, it felt like, initially I'd thought I'd get bikes a lot sooner than that.
Yeah.
And people said, "Oh no, it's going to take 18 months," and I was just like, "Yeah, whatever. I'll smash that." But yeah,
was there anyone? You said you didn't really get any help, but the people that were telling you it's going to take X amount of time. I mean, who sort of was that? Is it people that have done this sort of thing before?
Yeah, so there's a few people who I called to just sort of say, I'm setting up a bike company.
Yeah.
What do you think? Mostly people who I didn't know actually, but
right.
You just kind of like, it's just part of the knocking on doors process.
Uh-huh.
And because it's the bike industry, most people are just like, oh, sweet,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. There's definitely a lot of that goes on. No, there is. You're right. It's not like we're selling bathrooms or anything where it's really cutthroat. It is quite a chilled out industry, I'd like to think. So people are actually willing to help and give the 2 pence in and sort of tell you where to go and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I wish that I had done more of that. I wish I was better at that. It doesn't come naturally to me to ask people for help. But the people that I did ask certainly were quite positive and pointing me in the right direction. Yeah. And again, were quite generous with their knowledge.
Okay.
So that was a really positive thing.
That's good to hear. One thing I wanted to ask you, obviously, so you end up with this finished, I guess, prototype. Now, the media side of things was incredible, like massive props from me, because the bike was everywhere. It was absolutely everywhere. If you'd asked me how many of these I thought you had, I'd say 10, because they were just popping up in magazines left, right and centre. And obviously, like, online stuff, there was just so much going on. Like, how did you attack that? Did you literally just look at who you needed to speak to? Did you have press contacts before? I know that sometimes it can be quite difficult to get into magazines and stuff, and especially, I mean, you're riding a lot on getting magazine content too, aren't you, really?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the magazines was the place to start.
Yeah.
Really. Because they're kind of like the arbiters of credibility, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
If they say this is going to be good, then it's going to be good. If they say it's going to be rubbish, then
in a strange way, they could kind of make or break it.
They can, yeah.
In a very strange. I mean, you always, don't get me wrong. If the product's good, you'll still always sell them. But the media giving a good review and stuff is it's a massive push in the right direction, isn't it?
It is, but I would say, and this is something I hadn't really expected. People really connected with the idea of some dude who basically doesn't know what he's talking about, sacking off his job and setting up a company, but really, really being serious about it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes this happens to people by accident. They don't mean to set up a company, or there's various different ways people end up in this position. I think it's a little bit unusual. Someone would actually say, right, you've got a job and a mortgage and you're married and you've got a family, and what you're going to do is you're going to put all that at risk for this thing that you want to do. So actually, I think people kind of connected with that, and I didn't really want it to be about me, but it sort of became about that story, and a bunch of people wanted to do interviews, and we did what we're doing now in a way, is telling the story of it all.
That's the cool thing as well. It's like, most of my life's always kind of been on, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's very much the same with this sort of stuff. It's people, not only do people buy off people, but people work with people that they like working with, and if you can come across in a good manner to the magazines, they'll always help you out and do what they can for you. I think as a company, we've been on the same side of it, I guess, as you as well. We kind of came into this, some of us, a couple of us at Hookit come out of the industry, I guess, but, we were hitting magazines with a new company, with new brands, and it was like, I don't know, for some reason a lot of them sort of really liked what we were doing and stuff, and instantly MBUK wants to do a feature on us and all that sort of stuff, and it's amazing how much it helps and it'll snowball things for you.
I think there's something in the culture of mountain biking that celebrates the underdog.
Yeah,
because it's an underdog sport anyway, isn't it? I mean, despite all of the growth and the success that we've had, since I started riding 20-something years ago, it's still an underdog sport, really.
Yeah.
It's in the sort of DNA of the sport, I think.
I heard someone talking a while back about, it was actually about American football, but it's like that it's a losing sport, and I started thinking about that and putting it into mountain biking. It's like, if you look at the amount of races you've entered and how many you've won as opposed to how many you've lost, it's definitely a losing sport. And obviously how many times you crash and all that sort of stuff, it's definitely a losing sport. It's one that we love, but it's for sure a losing sport. But yeah, so it's awesome though that the magazines really got on board with it.
But I think I've thought about this a lot, and partly my motivation for doing this was to set up a company with a certain set of values. So I wanted it to be really properly genuine. I wanted to be straight with people, honest, good customer service, a bit of kind of humility. I'd spent essentially my whole career marketing products in a fairly cynical way.
Okay.
Because of the companies that I was working for
quite big,
were
corporate,
incredibly commercially oriented.
Yeah.
To Go, fantastic though it was just everything was about growth. And some of the product was good, some of the product was not so good, but you market it, hard sell.
Yeah.
So although I loved working in the industry, my own contribution I wasn't particularly proud of.
Right.
And then going to Planet X and on one, some of the kind of business practices I just really strongly disagreed with.
Okay. Yeah.
And as a matter of principle, I felt that people should not be treated in that way.
Yep.
So part of my motivation was I want to prove that doing it the opposite, actually looking after people, caring about the people that work with you, caring about the product, focusing on quality, telling people the truth about it and marketing it in an honest way. It's almost like I wanted to prove that would work, to sort of prove that the cynics were wrong, even though they're making it hand over fist.
Yeah. I think we share a lot of the same values in that respect, trying not to be faceless. And, just working with people on a level, if that makes sense. I think that's really important. And again, people radiate towards that as well. People will appreciate it as well, So yeah.
Well, that's what I found. I so far,
Yeah.
Generally people have been super positive, really receptive. And ultimately, they're just dealing with me. There is no.
Yeah,
I
there's
get
no
emails
marketing team or sales team or anything. It's
exactly. Can you put me in touch with the marketing director? And I'm like, yeah.
just hold on 1 second. Have a sip of tea. Sip of tea. Change your voice a little. Crack on.
Exactly.
Funny. So the first bike reviews were really good, as we've already mentioned. Were there any, or has there been any like mega teething problems or anything like that? I mean, obviously you don't want to say too much on that if there has been, but like, has there been any major
Would you
sort
care
of
to destroy your business?
you know what I mean? Like, was there anything where you thought maybe I should have done that totally different, or
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's in a way, setting up a business is just problem solving. So it's like a continuum of working through problems, and your solutions sometimes are good, sometimes they're less good, sometimes you make mistakes. Of course, you do. That's completely natural.
Yeah.
I think by and large, I've got more things right so far than I have wrong.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets at all, but that's probably more a reflection of my personality than how things have gone.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. The workshop, which essentially until 2 weeks ago was my garage, it's a proper garage brand, was totally fucked. It was full of asbestos and mold and just piled up to the ceiling with junk. It took me months and months and months to do it up. I spent 30 days scrubbing mold off the walls in that place. Right. Literally all day, every day to get it, because I thought, we'll get it back to brick. It'll be like a trendy pub. It'll be awesome. Scrubbing away. And then I realised it was just not going to happen. So I ended up tanking it and boarding over it. So that was a whole month.
Right. Wow.
Of scrubbing mould off walls for no reason at all.
Total waste of time.
What an idiot.
These things happen though, man. It's one of those things.
Well, I'm not going to do it again.
No, definitely not. That's one thing I wanted to move on to though. I've seen you've recently just got like a new unit. Is that right?
It is. Yeah.
Just really briefly though, how have you found like working at home or from home? Are you good at that?
It was difficult at first,
right?
Because I'm very particular. I have that kind of designer fastidiousness. I'm particular about my working environment. I found it hard to be productive, basically, just at home.
I was just curious more than anything. Like, I mean, again, on a personal level, I'm terrible at working from home. I've never actually really had a job where I'm office based or in the same place for more than 2 or 3 days. So if I do have stuff to do at home, which is it's quite often, but I just struggle. I mean, I've got like a 40-50 minute lifespan in me, and then I'm like, right, what can I do next? Or I need to go for a walk. I need to do something to keep active. So I'm always curious, with people who do work from home, whether you're in, I don't know what room, even the office is still in the house, and there's still so many distractions around you that I just don't understand how people do it.
Well, it's one of the big eye openers has been it's a lot easier to do something when you don't have any choice.
Yeah, makes sense, totally.
And for a while, for the first 6 months, let's say, I was doing a bit of freelance design work to kind of keep the wolf from the door.
Yeah.
And then I realised that Airdrop was never going to happen if I didn't commit to it fully. I needed that absolute level of exposure.
Yeah, no, I fully
you've
appreciate
got
that.
No choice but to make this happen.
That's my personality too, is if you're going to do something, you've got to do it all in. Like, there's no point going half-assed with anything in life. You're either doing it or you're not. It's that simple. Yeah. But yeah, definitely.
I'm good at it now, but good. We have, I've there's a baby in the house. My son is 7 weeks old now.
Okay. Right, excellent. Congratulations. I know I've said that before, but...
So, my wife's on maternity leave. She's in the house. There's a baby in the house. Me smashing around the place with bikes just isn't really appropriate anymore.
Yeah. So the choice was made to get a new Airdrop HQ. Where is it?
It is just down the road from here. It's not far from J.E. James, actually.
The Sheffield one?
The Sheffield one.
Right,
yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So walking distance from home, which is
Brilliant.
Cool.
Yep.
And it's kind of tucked away in it's a fairly kind of secret location, which is not bad from a security point of view. And it is a bit of a big step, but it's one of those things, it's just got to be done.
Yeah, definitely. And apart from obviously the main, or the things we just spoke about, which is getting away from home, maybe having a bit more of a, not that you want a 9 to 5, but do you know what I mean? Like, you go to work, you come home, probably get your house back. Your wife might be a little bit happier. I don't know, but she might love bikes in the house. I don't know. But what do you think are the other main advantages of moving to a new place? Is it going to be more customer friendly as well, would you say?
Well, yeah, definitely. So customers are welcome to come here and have a coffee and check out the bikes. That happens more and more, and almost every day now people are coming here, and that is cool. Most people are into it. Some people find it a bit weird. The new place is going to enable me to have a proper showroom. So, I mean, it doesn't have retail consent, so it's not a shop as such, but I'll be able to say, come down to the showroom, have the bikes on display, have a coffee, have a chat about stuff. It's going to be more of a kind of professional environment, I guess.
Sounds good.
Yeah, more space for building bikes, more space for storage, photo studio, all the stuff that I need. The photo studio is my dining room at the moment.
Mate, I mean, the whole look of what you've done, though, I mean, it's really impressive. I remember when your website went live, and I can't remember if maybe freeballing an email around like our email address at Hookit and was like, "Have you seen Airdrop's website? It's sick. It's really nice." And I can imagine it's been a massive selling point for you. Everything looks really good. Images are nice. Everything. The whole look of the brand, I think, is spot on. I think you've done a great job with it.
Well, that's very kind of you to say that. Thank you. I think, if Airdrop had a motto, it would have to be something like, "If the thing's worth doing, it's worth doing well." Yeah. So basically, if you're going to do it, it's got to be good, or just don't do it at all. Really. Yep. And the web stuff, the photography, the marketing, that's more in my comfort zone, perhaps, than some of the other things I've had to learn. They do say play to your strengths. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in that, playing to your strength, and it's always a good thing is offloading stuff when you can, though. That's the thing as well. You can't be offloading stuff if you can't physically support financially doing it. But obviously you get to that stage and you can start saying, right, I'm not good at this, so I can have someone do that for me, and etc. And I think it gets, hopefully, easier from then on.
But actually, that is something that I'm really keen on putting a team together.
Yeah.
Because for me, one of the things about setting up my own company was always it's got to be the kind of place that I would want to work, but I never found it.
Got you.
Yeah, essentially.
That's cool. That's really cool. It takes time as well, I think, to find that stuff out. I mean, we've been around, quite a similar amount of time, really, with Hookit. About 2.5, just shy of 3 years, I think. And it kind of feels like only just now do we start really seeing what we're actually good at, each person. I know that sounds silly, but like for the first year, everyone just does a bit of everything, and it's just like organised chaos or disorganised chaos. Whereas now everything's a bit more structured. Do you know what I mean? Like you can say, right, I'm not good at that, but Oliver is, so he does that now, and allows me to do something that I'm a little bit better at. Still haven't found what I'm good at yet, if I'm being brutally honest with you. But we try every day.
It will start to.
Yeah, we try every day. We try and find it. It's coming. Pretty good at driving these days, that's for sure.
Well, this podcast thing seems to be working out.
Yeah, it's not too hard though, is it? Let's be honest.
Anyway, I don't know. This one.
I don't know. We'll see. So new HQ, that's rad. So one thing I want to talk about as well is we've got a new bike coming, I believe, soon, right?
Yeah. So I've got the V2 version of the Edit, which is the 150mm.
Okay. And the
still, I'm not going to call it an enduro bike because the forums will explode. But so I've got 150mm bike. V2 is coming.
Yeah.
And that just adds some tweaks here and there.
Okay. Is there any major changes? Or
well,
not?
it's just all the stuff that customers have asked me for in the last year.
Okay.
So stealth reverb routing, and that's enabled me to make the standover clearance super low.
Right.
Just some little tweaks here and there.
So no major like geometry ones. It's just little bits and bobs here and there.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, because I'm doing small batches,
yeah,
fairly frequently, I can just make these incremental improvements. It's not like I'm saving up a load of changes and there's a 3-year development cycle, and even though I could improve it now, I'm not going to because insert corporate reason here. Or like having some more frames made, I could make them better. So let's do that basically.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to be small. Again, I mean, I'm going to relate that to us. You can be fast. You can literally just change what you're doing overnight, almost sometimes to accommodate a customer or whatever you need to do really. So sometimes it definitely plays in your advantage to be smaller.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
Be hands on.
Getting to work with. So I, on the one hand, I'm working with the factory that's actually making the thing, and on the other hand, I'm meeting the people that are riding these bikes every single day. So having that really direct connection is awesome. And actually, I don't really know how big bike companies do it because they never get to meet their customers.
True. Yeah, very true. So I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you've stumped me on that one. I don't know how they do it. I've absolutely no idea. Obviously, there's a lot of them which do demo days, but again, it'll probably never really get back all the way to the factories or the designers. Well,
I guess what they have is they have awesome bike shops, don't they, selling the products, and the bike shops have those fantastic customer relationships.
Yeah, and maybe they can relay some stuff back.
And I'm just trying to do that.
Happen to us. Yeah.
So it's weird. Airdrop is like I don't have retail premises, but in many ways it's like a bike shop. I know all the people who ride my bikes by name. Most of them have had a cup of tea or a coffee in my kitchen. So we can just talk about these things and just improve stuff if we need to.
That's cool, really cool. So the sales process too. Probably can't go too deep into it, but as far as how did you decide to go down the route you went with as far as being a direct consumer brand? Is that because it was quite a growing market when you started then? I mean, going back to March 2016, I know it's only a year or so, but you had like the likes of YT, for example, like really starting to make an impact on the industry. So do you feel that you sort of came along at that sort of time and that was always the way you were going to go with it?
Well, I think I did it. It did make sense to do it that way because what we were seeing was growth in direct to customer brands, and we all know that local bike shops have been having a hard time for a long time. The Brazier family business is a small shop for 130 years, so I know how that goes.
Yeah.
But the reason I've done it this way is actually more just because I was playing to my own strengths. Right. Because I knew that I could set up a website. I knew that I could deal directly with customers.
Yeah.
And then just practical reasons, it's hard enough starting up a brand and saying to people, I'm doing this bike brand. Come and buy the bikes without trying to do that through a filter of distribution companies. With the greatest respect, there's no way I could have got any serious players to take me seriously, and fighting for shop floor space against the big companies, it just wasn't going to happen.
It's always a strange one, I think. I mean, I have this conversation literally day in, day out with dealers, and it usually the first thing that people say when I walk into a shop is obviously, well, A, do you want a cup of tea or a coffee? But then secondly, it's, is it busy? How's it going? And it's really hard to gauge things. And I literally always say the same thing. I'm like, look, I can see 4 shops in one day. 2 are busy, 2 are quiet, and they're in like the same town. It's so strange. So as far as the demise of like the LBS goes, it's it's hard to, how do you explain it? I kind of agree, but the other side of me thinks that, you know, the whole internet and the direct consumer market, if anything, it's just kind of filtered out some of the bad ones, the ones that maybe had it quite easy for quite a while, and the ones that are doing pretty good are guys that are on board with the internet side of things. You know, they are quite conscious of pricing. They want to do brands which are going to make money for them and stuff like that. Again, I feel I need to be semi-diplomatic in what I say with this stuff, but that's kind of my feel on it, and that's kind of my take on it every day, is that the industry's not in a bad place at all, and the direct consumer brands are doing good things, to be honest. They're getting bums on seats and people into bike shops, you know, in some respects.
Well, you know, this is what happens when anything changes, really, isn't it? I mean, the thing about Go Outdoors was always, you know, we were opening these huge stores, 60,000 square foot stores, and the little kind of small independent retailers were having a hard time with that, because, you know, the world had changed essentially. So that, you know, that's part of the calculus. But I would also say, you know, I watched my dad worked in the family business for 50 years. He retired a year ago,
Right.
And it was a tiny shop, literally one room. You could only fit 8 or 10 customers in it at any given time. He worked there for 50 years, and he kept that place going successfully for all of that time, basically by being awesome at what he was doing and really looking after his customers.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think if you can do that,
but that's the thing. No matter how you're doing it, if you can do that, you'll always do okay.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much what you're going to say, right? Sorry for jumping in there, but that's
no, not at all. You're quite right. It just for me, you know, taking on retail premises and it just didn't feel like, you know, someone like me, I suppose, 10 or 15 years ago would have opened a bike shop.
Right.
But it just felt like the natural thing to do was to have a website as the shop front, but to hang on to the real human side of things. So actually, most of the bikes I sell are done in some respects on a one-to-one basis. Most of them are customized in some way. Most of them are not sold through the website, actually. I mean, I've sold bikes on text message. I sold, if you can believe it, I've sold bikes on Facebook Messenger. Yeah. You know, I've had the whole thing.
But again, that's something that's just the new way of doing things. Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess if this was a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I was sat at home and I had a customer texting me, I'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, you know, it's 6:30. I want to have my dinner. But now it's not like that at all. You know, you're constantly reachable, whether it's through a social media network, whether it's on your phone. Do you know what I mean? Or the old
I know exactly
way, which is actually ringing you. You know, I have dealers calling me at 8, 9, sometimes 10 o'clock at night, you know, just to ask me something, and it's just the new way of doing things. You know, you have to be available, and that's just how it is.
I've been answering customers' questions while we're recording this thing.
Oh, really?
You can't get away from them.
No, but you can't. That's the thing. Like, it's not a bad thing at all. I think it's quite cool in some respects. Again, like, I'll have got a text of a customer, you know, when we finish doing this, and it's whatever time it is, you know. But you can't turn that stuff away. I find it, I really like it in some ways. You know, it's always crazy that, I said this on a really early podcast, that you still got that buzz feeling when someone wants to buy something off you. You know what I mean? And
I
never ever turn that away. I mean, I'm stoked. You know, the fact that anyone's asked about something, it's like, what, you want to buy something through us? It's crazy.
Well, you know, initially, I couldn't really believe that people would want to actually buy the bike.
Yeah.
You know, it was such a big thing. I think you just have to compartmentalize the sort of goal, you know. So I wasn't really thinking about 2, 3, 4 years from now. I was just thinking about getting to the next step. I never really thought seriously about what it would be like when people start calling and saying, "I really want to buy one of your bikes."
It's crazy.
And I still find it a little bit unusual now.
Yeah.
You know, so people come in and they say,
agree,
you know, I demoed this bike and I didn't really like it, but I want to buy one of yours. It's a massive buzz, and I'm incredibly grateful to people when they say that. But a little part of me still thinks, that's odd.
No, I can totally relate to that, buddy. Like, totally relate to it. And it's still, even for me, you get home after work and I look on our back end on the system and see what's been happening through the day. And you're like, oh my God, that customer, we've never dealt with that customer before. Going way back to when we first started, I would literally call and say thank you to customers for ordering offers. I can't do that anymore because there's way too much going on, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing. But, early days, I'd call and, the next day, and have you got our order? The order you placed with us is, have you got it on time? Is everything all right? Have you checked it off? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I bet some of the dealers are thinking, what a creep. Who is this dude? Like, leave us alone.
Yeah, I want to keep that if I can. I think I've worked for a really big company. I've worked for a company that started off small and then became really, really big. And I don't want that for Airdrop. I want it to stay small.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I don't want it to be successful, but I do want it to stay small.
Yeah, that kind of leads on nicely to what I was going to ask you, actually. Sorry, which is, I guess, the future and what's next.
I've got another bike in the pipeline that'll be out this year.
Excellent.
The Bitmap. It's a hardtail.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay. It will be beautiful.
Mark Ed's words. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
That's going to be nice. Prototypes are on their way.
Oh, really? That's rad. That's cool. So, hardtail.
And then, this is the really exciting bit. After that, who knows? I've got to decide.
That's the fun stuff.
That's the fun stuff, yeah. I've got to decide what to do next. But that's the best bit. I can decide. Nobody is going to say, right, it's a 29er plus E fat bike, because that's what our market research says we're doing. I've got to decide. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff down on paper, and I've got to kind of filter it out a little bit and get focused and, get back on it with this sort of product development, really, so that next year there's some more new stuff coming through.
Good. That's cool.
I'm going to take the opportunity to ask people what I should do next. What kind of bike?
Way of doing it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, so there'll be people out there who are Airdrop customers and people who aren't, and hopefully some of them will be in the future. So just let us know what.
Look, I mean, we have a decent little following with this thing now, which, again, going back to people buying stuff off you and stuff, it still kind of creeps me out that people listen to this. I think it's insane. So, people that are out there, make sure when we put this episode live, drop a message or a comment and let Ed know what you'd like to see from Airdrop. Cool?
Yeah, do that. Let's
see what comes back. And we'll somehow reward some people. But leave that with me. I'll figure something out. What motivates you, apart from the stuff we've kind of already talked about? Is there anything which really keeps you going and motivates you to keep doing cool stuff?
Well, that's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and that's kind of why I always like to ask people.
Well, this really, what I'm engaged with now, I think, is my kind of life's project, if you like. It's going to be the big thing that I do for the next however many years.
Yeah.
So I think the main motivation is to just keep getting better at what I do, really, making better and better and better bikes. Because perfection is not achievable. You can just keep getting better, learning more. Really, I would like Airdrop to be around in 100 years' time. I know that's probably, given that it's only 2 years old or whatever.
Yeah,
that may sound a little bit crass, but I really want Airdrop to grow slowly and put down some solid foundations, and for it to be something that actually I can kind of pass on, if you like, a long time from there.
Yeah, that's really cool. Really cool. I mean, Yeah, I never really thought about it like that. That's really cool. I mean, I'm hoping my dad. You just kind of hit a nerve then. I mean, I'm hoping my dad never thought that with me because I don't have anything to do with the family business really. He's a car mechanic. It's freezing down there and covered in oil. It's not the one.
Well, my dad always said, I've touched on it a little bit, the family business. He always said, my sons, I have three brothers, he always said, my sons are not going to grow up to work in this business because it's too hard, basically. Yeah. I think he wanted better for us than...
No, my dad would hate it if I was working with him, trust me. I mean, we're best friends, but he'd hate it if I was down there doing that every day. It's not the one. Even he doesn't like it, so he'd hate to pass it on to me.
The thing I want to do really with Airdrop, I guess, is I want it to be the kind of company that inspires people. Right. Again, it's hard to say that without sounding a little bit crass, but in terms of the way that I conduct myself, that we will conduct ourselves in future in terms of our business practices, looking after customers, bringing genuinely quality product to the market, inspiring people with the creative work, the videos and the photos and the other stuff that we're going to produce in future. If I can inspire a few people maybe to do something similar, I've been inspired by other companies in the past, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. And my final question, which I've got for you before we move on to our listener questions, is I forgot. Up until now, what has been the hardest hurdle? Like, has there been a major stepping stone for you?
I think the hardest thing was starting.
Right.
Actually, once I started, there's been lots of kind of problems which would sound pretty tedious if I described them to you now, but starting was the hardest thing. So if you think, I was saving up for this for 12 years, that whole time, part of my mindset was, are you ever going to have the balls to actually do this? Have you seen the film Collateral? Have you seen that film?
I haven't, no, I haven't.
So in that film, basically, there's a character called Max, and every person he meets in the film, he's a taxi driver. He tells them that he's saving up to start a limousine company. He's so passionate about it. The way he describes it, it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Okay.
And then at the end of the film, the antagonist basically challenges him on it and says, look, you're never going to do that. You are never going to do that. You're just a dreamer. All it would have taken was for you to put a deposit on a Lincoln Town car. Mm. If you haven't done it already, you're never going to do it. And so the question for me was always, are you Max? Basically, are you that guy who is just dreaming about it, who's never, ever going to actually do it?
Right.
It used to be a real source of stress, So I think the hardest thing was getting started and saying, okay, I am going to do it. And also, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sack off all the other things that I might do. I'm going to focus on this one thing. And I'm going to do it really for the foreseeable future.
It's crazy how just one sort of thing can affect you that much. I mean, you probably saw that. I don't know how old it is, the film, but you saw that and you kind of remember it for years and years. It's so cool. I guess that's just inspiration, but I've got something that I always relate to. Like, I always read this said thing, and it's like, if you're ever feeling a bit down or things are getting tough, it's like that one thing which just makes everything just like, yeah, rock and roll, let's get back on it. Yeah. Anyway, right. Listener questions.
There's
only a couple, which is a good thing, though, because it means that you're doing a good job of explaining what it is you do. Like, I've read a few of your blog posts, and it's like, it's pretty hard to come up with a listener question for you because you answer so much stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty tough.
Read the blog.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that when we've had like athletes on, people always want to know about training and stuff like that. So, but there's a pretty good couple. Anyway, so first one came from @Baybut on Instagram, who is the guy behind the photograph we've used for your artwork. He's a badass Sheffield photographer. And he wanted to know, if your bikes were a genre of music, what would it be?
Yeah, that's
Such a good question.
Baber question right
It's
there.
so good. I'm going to pull it out of the bag all the time, that one. I think it's amazing.
You can tell he works the Hookit, can't you?
You can.
Chucking in the difficult questions. Genre review. Okay. I think probably reggae.
Oh, really?
Reggae bikes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the reason is because they're pretty chilled out.
Yeah.
They're effortlessly cool.
Nice.
And timeless. Beautiful.
I like that's a bloody good answer. It's almost like you'd thought of that one before. Good effort.
Oh, I did.
And the next one is at Ride.5 on Instagram. And he wants to know, do you have any advice for anybody wanting to start a brand?
Yes. I think the most important thing is to be absolutely determined to succeed. Because it's going to be probably a lot harder than you think. And there'll be plenty of opportunities to give up. But if you're absolutely determined to succeed, then I think you probably will.
Yep, I agree with you. Definitely. Go all in. That's my bit of advice too. If you're going to do something, do it. Full on.
Yeah.
Full on. Sweet. Well, it's been an absolute blast, dude. It's been cool because I don't really know you that well personally, so to actually hear the stories coming from you has been really, really cool. I think it's been a super inspirational episode too. Some good stories. Do you know what I mean? It's been cool. Like, it's good to hear. And I'm stoked for you. I think things are going good. Airdrop's going really well. I mean, people ask me about it quite a lot, if I'm honest with you, which is always good.
That is good. I think the future is bright. There's some cool stuff in the pipeline. I'm pretty excited about what's coming next. Good. And thanks for the opportunity. It's been pretty good.
No problem. Just before we finish though, social media stuff. So if anyone want to find out more about Airdrop, where do they go? It's
at Airdrop Bikes across the board. I think I probably do a lot more on Facebook and Instagram than Twitter. I don't really get Twitter. I'm not sure what it's for.
I've been saying it for years.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's for, apart from arguing with people you don't know.
It's for hurling abuse at people. That's what it's for. It's for trolling.
Yeah, so Instagram, I'm always posting stuff on Instagram. You know, goes back to that kind of inspiring people thing.
Yeah.
And Facebook, there's a load of stuff on Facebook, and you can contact us on Facebook as well. So
Sweet. And if you did listen to the episode, make sure you tell us, leave some feedback, all that sort of stuff. Let Ed know you listen to it. If you do go and grab a bike, tell him you listen to the podcast and that's inspired you to buy a bike off him. And then we get some kickback. We genuinely don't. That's a definite joke. Sweet. Right. I'm going to let you get on. It's pretty late. But thank you ever so much, man. It's been a pleasure. And hopefully we can touch back in a few episodes' time and see where we're at.
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. Nice one, dude. Right, you enjoy your evening and all the best.
Cheers, dude. Thanks, everyone.
And there we have it, folks. Episode 20 in the bag. Thanks a bunch for listening in. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this episode, head over, leave us a review on iTunes. It means an absolute bunch. Don't forget, 5-star reviews only. And I'll look forward to looking at them and reading what you guys have written. Also, don't forget to give us a follow. It's at the Hookit Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, just at Hookit Products on Twitter. And hopefully you enjoyed that episode. Thanks again to everyone for checking out. Have a great week. Catch you soon. Bye.